Yoga is so fabulous for focus and for motivation. In this practice, we'll be looking at how we can use our practice to create just a little bit more positivity in our outlook. Studies show that we're most motivated 30 minutes after we wake up, 3 hours after we wake up, and 11 hours after we wake up. But for most of us, it's a little hard to plan around those cycles, those studies that have shown these different circadian phases throughout the day. If you've got blocks, grab them. You might want to use them. If you don't have them, no problem. We can improvise. We'll begin standing tall. As you come to the top of the mat, spread your fingers, look down, spread your toes. Keep the nice spread of the toes, the spread of the fingers as a way to engage the arms and the legs. You feel so much more motivated and focused when you can engage your muscles in this way. On the in-breath, reach your arms up. Just have this expression of openness. And exhale, draw down in gratitude and place your hands right alongside your ankles to step your right foot back, step your left foot back to come to downward facing dog. And in downward facing dog, just allow a natural ease as you bend one knee and bend the other as if walking in place. You stay motivated through engagement. How can you engage now that your foundation is in both your hands and your feet? How can you engage in such a way that you're clawing the mat with the fingers to draw from the fingertips all the way to the heart? And as you pedal the legs, can you keep a nice spread to the toes, a nice slow movement of the legs, so that you have this full engagement from the toes all the way to the heart. Now walk your feet up to your hands. Place your hands to your low back. Rise up. Reach up to the sky. Reach back slightly. Exhale, come down to the earth and place your hands by your feet. Step your right foot back. Balance yourself as you lift your hands up to your knees. Spread enthusiasm with spread fingers and nice open arms as you reach your gaze up, your gaze slightly back, your hands back. Release your hands down. Step your back foot forward. Place both hands to your low back. Rise up. Reach up with enthusiasm, reach up and back. Exhale, release your hands to the mat. Step your left foot back. Balance with your hands right above your right knee. Keeping a nice stability in the legs. Reach your arms up. Spread your wings wide apart as you gaze up. Release your hands down to the mat. Step the back foot forward. Place your hands to the low back. Rise up. Reach up. Reach way back. Exhale long and release both hands to the mat. Step back to a plank position this time. And if it feels like it's too much pressure on the wrist area, just come to your knees. Draw your heart slightly forward, shoulders slightly forward. Lower yourself to the mat. On the next in-breath, with your hands right alongside your ribs. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften. Reach your hands straight back with your palms facing each other. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, draw down. 2 more. Rise up. Exhale, soften. Inhale, create this nice fullness to the upper chest. Squeezing the shoulders back. Release your hands down alongside your ribs again. Come to all fours position. In all fours position, draw your right knee in toward your heart and reach it out. Again, hug in, a lot of hip flexion here. Expand out. Now see if you can combine this movement, the movement of the leg, with the movement of your left arm. So hug your left elbow in as you reach your right knee forward. Reach out with enthusiasm. Get a nice fullness there. Hug in, elbow bends, elbow to knee, reach out. And again, draw in to reach out. Release your left hand down. Tuck your toes under. Walk your hands back to your knees. Keep your hands where they are. Let your heart just kind of soften slightly. Bring a little bit more weight through the pressure of your hands. You're pushing your pelvis back toward your heels. Through that extra weight, maybe you can walk your hands a little bit closer to your knees. For some of us, staying right here is going to be plenty of stretch, but if you can take your hands off of the mat, by all means, reach your arms up, interlace your fingers, reach your interlaced fingers over to the side so that you can expand into fullness on the left side. Interlace your fingers the opposite way. Whatever baby finger was last, it's now second to last as you reach over to the opposite side and stretch through the right side. By now, your toes might be feeling just a little bit of fire, so take your hands back to your mat, walk your hands forward, come up to a plank position again, or just stay on your knees if that works for you. Lift up, reach your heart forward first before coming down. Inhale, draw your heart forward. Exhale, soften. Again, inhale, lift up. Exhale, soften. Now that we've done a few repetitions of these baby cobra poses, reach your hands straight back. Bend your knees. Inhale, reach your hands toward your shins. Exhale, draw down. If you want to hold on, feel free to do that. Hold on to your feet or your ankles or your shins or your pant legs. Reach your feet back. Exhale, soften. Inhale, reach your feet back. Exhale, soften. One more. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, soften. Release your feet down. Come to all fours position. In all fours position, draw your left knee in toward your chest. Reach out. Hug in. To expand out. Draw in. To expand out. One more time. Hug in. Reach out. Now let's move the right elbow into the left knee. As you draw the right elbow into the left knee, reach out and hug in. Reach out. Again, balance yourself. Pull into the midline before expanding so fully. Release your hand down. Tuck your toes under. Draw your pelvis back. Walk your hands back. Be fully engaged. You're pushing your hands toward the front of the mat as you're pulling your pelvis back. Take just a little bit more pressure, a little bit more weight on your heels as you step your hands back a little bit more and more. take your hands right above your thighs. On the in-breath, reach your arms up again. Interlace your fingers, slight bend to the elbows as you reach your fingers over to the right side. Lift your thumbs a little bit higher than your baby finger. So you get just a little bit more external rotation to open the upper chest. Same thing, interlace your fingers, just slightly different as you come over to the left side. Lift your thumbs up, reach over. Inhale, lift your interlaced fingers up. Exhale, release your hands down. Lift yourself up to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, have this be a short dog with your feet nice and wide apart, about as wide as the mat is. Your hands are a little bit closer to your feet in this one. Hands are nice and wide apart too. Take your right hand to the outside of the left leg, somewhere that feels right to you, and bend your right elbow to draw your heart a little bit closer to your left leg. Release your right hand. Take your left hand to the outside of the right leg. Bend your left elbow, reach your left elbow toward the mat. Just enjoy the breath as it expands through the left side ribs. Release your left hand. Walk your feet to your hands. Place your hands to your low back. Rise up. In Tadasana. You feel so engaged after just a few actions in yoga. Let's continue this engagement that motivates us. The more we practice, the more focus we find, the more you want more. So let's take a wide stance on your mat. Bend your right knee. Lift your arms up to come to the strong Virabhadrasana 2 pose. It's a pose that really exhibits this motivation. With strength in the back leg, drop yourself a little bit deeper in the front leg. Spread your fingers. Turn your right palm up and reach your left palm back. Invite the breath to expand the right side. In this fullness of the pose, can you keep the back leg strong and drop even further in the front leg? And inhale, lift yourself up to come out of the pose. On the other side, as you turn your left toes out, line up from the front heel to the back arch and bend your knee. Exhibit that strong warrior spirit, the motivation of a warrior spirit. With the back leg strong, you drop in even deeper into your pose. Turn the front palm up, reach your back hand toward the back leg. Enjoy this nice fullness to the side body. Engage so fully with the fullness of the breath to draw you deeper into the pose. And lift yourself up to parallel your feet. With parallel feet, interlace your fingers behind your back. Press your knuckles to your low back. Hug your elbows in and draw down in a forward bend. Just keep your knuckles where they are to the low back. Bend your knees slightly. Engage more fully the action of the legs by pulling the feet in toward the midline of your stance. Keeping that, take your interlaced fingers up to the sky. Release your head. Reach your interlaced fingers up slightly. Get a nice fullness here in the chest before releasing your hands to the tops of the thighs with knees bent. Slowly make your way up in the standing position. Come to the top of the mat again and breathe in deep. And out long. Keep this nice fullness of the breath. And just like this dancer in front of me that's so motivated in this dance of ecstasy, we'll do a dancer pose as well to stretch the front of the thighs. So we'll be balancing. If you would like to have a wall close by for that, by all means, come next to the wall. Take your right knee up toward your chest. To start to understand what it feels like to take all your weight on one foot. Nice ease in the dance. Release your right foot down. Let's dance on one leg with your right foot down. Take your left knee up. And it is, in fact, a rather odd dance, but if we just imagine like the stability in the right leg, and you take your attention to your breath, you see that you can hold the pose so much more easily. Now release your left foot down. So we did hip flexion there, now we'll do a little hip extension. So bring your right knee in really close to your heart and take your right hand somewhere on the shin or close to the ankle or even the top of the foot. And as you give your right thigh a nice stretch, reach your left arm forward. Maybe you can even draw your heart forward as you reach your right foot back. Nice, easy way to dance. And have the focus of balance poses to create a little bit more fullness in your breath and ease in your form. And come back to release your right foot down. Find stability in the right leg. A spread to your right toes. And from that stability, lift your left leg up. So it's really easy for you to take your left hand somewhere to the shin or the ankle or the top of the foot, wherever that works for you. Come to this nice dancing action as you get a nice beauty to your form, a nice stability, a nice evenness in your breath. You keep a nice focus in your action, and through that, it motivates you to hold the pose just a little bit longer before releasing with grace your left foot down. Come to a wide stance again. And in your wide stance, turn your right toes out. Yoga is a practice where we give this focus to our physical body, and through that, we feel very energized, very motivated in the actions of our day. So on the mat, we find that motivation that we can take off the mat. Lift your arms up. Take your right hand to your straight right leg. Take your left hand to your waist. Now look down to the mat. Maybe you can even take your hand either to a block or to the floor, whichever works for you. Now, once you've got stability with your right hand, your back leg feels really stable, see about lifting, and I'm even using my left hand to lift my right side ribs a little bit. And with that lift, I can expand so much more fully. And it's that expansion that really motivates. really allows you for a little bit more focus in your practice. Root down through the back leg, rise up. Release your hands, turn your left toes out. Your right foot is parallel with the back edge of the mat. Lift your arms up. Enjoy your breath. Enjoy the expansion as you spread your wings. Come down to the left shin. Take your right hand to your waist. Just focus a little bit more by drawing your heart down, your inner thighs back and apart. Maybe you can come to a deeper expression of the pose, whatever that is for you. Keeping your back leg rooted fully. Lift your underside ribs up. Lift your arm up. Spread your fingers. Keep this nice stability in the pose, this nice rootedness of the back leg. As you root down through the strength of the back leg, lift yourself up out of the pose. Parallel your feet, heel toe your feet in toward each other and come to a squat position. I like starting in a wider stance. If you can come with your feet parallel to a squat position to the floor, fabulous. Keep that up. I have to go a little bit wider. With my knees bent, I'm drawing as slowly as I can with stability down. And it's just a wonderful hip opener as you take your pelvis a little bit closer to the earth. Now, if your knees are not happy with that, just come all the way to a seated position. Once you find your way to the mat, just sit carefully down. And with your left shin forward, take your right knee right into the arch of the left foot. Turn yourself toward the left side. Get tall there. Now bend your elbows to walk your hands just a little bit further away from the leg. Even though this right hip is lifted a lot, your action is still trying to draw that hip down. And a strong action with your left hand will help you take the right hip a little bit closer to the earth, just like we did in the triangle pose before. Your outside ribs, your right ribs, you want to encourage them to move just slightly so that now you feel just like you're a little bit more parallel to the back edge of the mat. Now walk your hands back toward your legs and take your legs in the opposite form. So with the right shin in the front, take your hands now toward the top edge of the mat. You can walk them just a little bit further. On the outside ribs, in this case it's the left ribs, you're encouraging the left ribs forward and the right ribs back, even as you're trying to draw the left hip back to the mat. It will stay slightly out of balance because it's such an asymmetric pose. But see if you can just work with the breath to expand. The expansion is in the side body. Take your feet as wide apart as your mat is. Place your hands in front of your heart. Draw your knees over to the right side. Draw your heart down toward your right knee. Inhale, lift up. Keep your feet wide. Take your knees over to the left side. Draw your heart down. Rise up. Lift your knees up Take your knees to the right. Draw down toward the mat. Rise up. Lift your knees up. Draw your knees to the side. Draw over. Lift up. Knees up. Knees to the right. Bow forward. Lift up. Knees up. Knees to the left. Bow forward. Lift up. Knees up. Knees to the right. Bow forward. Knees up. Knees go to the left and bow forward. Inhale and rise up. Reach your arms forward. Feet are about hip distance apart. Pull from your toes to your heels to get a lot of support as you slowly, 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 slowly take your spine to the mat. With your knees bent, in the same way that we are doing when we're seated, take your knees to the right. Reach your left arm over your head. Maybe even take your right ankle to the outer left knee in this windshield wiper pose. Take your right foot off of your knee, lift your knees up. Take your knees over to the opposite side, to the left side. Reach your right arm up and over your head. Just notice how the practice creates just a little bit more feeling of fullness. You feel energized, you feel motivated. You sense this expression of focus in your practice, whether that be through the breath, through how you express the alignment in the poses. You might want to take your left ankle to the outer right knee. Or whether in your practice this creates a sense of ease that allows you to have what we call ekagrata, this one-pointed, this focused attention, this focused attentiveness to your practice. Now lift your knees up. Place your feet on the mat. If you've got blocks, you might want to use those for this pose. If you don't have blocks, we can improvise. We'll be lifting our pelvis up to find a nice stretch on the front side of the body. You can just come to a bridge pose if you don't have blocks. Now, with this nice fullness, press your head back, press the tops of the arm bones back to create this nice length all the way from the heart to your knees. Breathe in to expand the length even more fully. And breathe out long. Keep a nice evenness to your breath, a nice softness to your facial muscles. And let this serve as a nice entrance point to Savasana, the final resting pose of the practice. Even in a practice where we're using the yoga practice to motivate us, to keep us focused. You'll notice that if you take the extra time to just release after the practice, to assimilate the actions that you did in the practice, you'll complete the practice with such an inspired feeling, so much enthusiasm, joy. You take your attention to your breath. The sensations of the practice. You're checking in. Not checking out. You breathe in deep and out long. You breathe in deep and out long. You breathe in deep and out long. Allow the breath to flow very freely and naturally. Enjoy this time in Savasana. Namaste.